let's pick up from where the Premier left off there. So how confident are you that we can get international travel in and out of Sydney before Christmas?
Well, good morning, Peter. Look, I am confident. The work that we've done on the roadmap, both at 70% and the work we're now doing in relation to the 80% roadmap. And at the heart of it, of course, we are talking about international travel, opening international borders, a changed environment around quarantining, and the opportunity to lead the nation when it comes to not only returning Australians that belong to New South Wales, but to every other state, and to do so in a way that they can reunite at Christmas. So we are confident. We haven't got a crystal ball, of course. We don't know what's ahead of us, but on the current environment, the trajectory of our vaccination targets, our targets in relation to case numbers, I think we're absolutely on target for opening borders.
Okay, so when it comes to home quarantine, what's your idea of how that looks like? If someone comes in, they are double vaccinated and they test negative, do they even need to be in home quarantine?
Well, again, these are the issues that we're just finalising, and Minister Stuart Ayres has been tasked with the whole piece in relation to quarantining, what it looks like. But, you can't accept that the status quo is appropriate. You're double vaccinated, you arrive in Australia, you get tested possibly at the airport, you're negative. And the idea that you go into a hotel quarantine 14 days is not in line with where we are in the cycle of this pandemic. So the idea that it could be 7 days, it could be something different, it could be a testing regime, using technology. There's a range of options in front of us that we'll finalise, and we'll have more to say about it as the Premier's touched on. But it definitely won't be what it is today.
Okay, well, your idea on this, and I get that you're still working it out, but if someone does have to home quarantine, does that then mean that everyone else who lives in that house would have to quarantine as well?
Well, no. If you look at even the current arrangement, quarantining or isolation of individuals that have COVID cases, for instance, that are put into isolation or into quarantine, have to do that in a segregated away from the household. So you'd make all those considerations. And we know at the moment people that can't isolate in their home because they haven't got the ability to be completely segregated from the rest of their family, we make other accommodation options. So again, we'll look at all of those. We haven't finalised anything. But
right.
Look, we're dealing with returning Australians that are vaccinated, and we've got to be more liberal in the way we approach that. But as I said, Minister Ayres doing a lot of work on it.
Sure. Okay. I mean, I get that. But what other options are there? Because obviously there could be a vulnerability there. If you come home, you quarantine at home, there's someone else in the house, you potentially infect them, they're allowed to go outside and away you go. There's a vulnerability there, isn't there?
Yeah, but Peter, you're looking through today's lens. You need to look through tomorrow's lens. We're talking about a time when Australian public are 80% plus vaccinated. 80, 85, probably closer to 90% if you buy into the targets that we're setting. So the reality here is it's living with COVID. So that won't be the only time they're infected. People may be around unvaccinated people or other people. So no, it's a different, you've got to look through a different lens. It almost won't matter about what the home arrangement looks like.
Okay, what about this border bubble with Victoria? Are we likely to see that?
Well, we've always had a border bubble for those communities down with Victoria, but it has changed in times with additional cases on our side of the border or on the Victorian border. So what we've traditionally had are bubbles that have 50 kilometres either side. It picks up a range of communities. We know how important or how seamless that border is for those communities, and we work with it. We've had that in the past. We'll continue to deal with our Victorian counterpart, our cross-border commissioner in New South Wales, James McTavish, works with his counterpart. We were able to make a new arrangement up north with Queensland off the back of lifting restrictions in New South Wales or regional New South Wales. And of course, we've got a similar arrangement in a border bubble around the ACT. So it's nothing new. We'll keep working with it. And as always, you're adjusting as circumstances change.
Well, you mentioned Queensland there. Any idea when you might be able to cross in and out?
Well, we haven't closed our border. I mean, the reality is people can come into New South Wales. We're not locking people out. It's the Queensland government, and you've heard Anastasia Palaszczuk. It sounds like they'll keep the border up.
Yeah, okay. Just on to businesses, and the Premier mentioned yesterday that businesses should only allow vaccinated customers to come in. What happens if a business serves an unvaccinated customer?
Well, the first point is that industry and businesses are the ones that came to government and said, can we trial the ability of vaccinated people working with vaccinated staff or vaccinated customers and give us the ability to open earlier than the 80%. And the 70% roadmap does exactly that. It is a roadmap for the vaccinated business, vaccinated staff, vaccinated patrons. And therefore, businesses are the ones that have really put it on the agenda for us. And I would believe that the majority of businesses will do that. Because imagine being that business that gets a case in the midst of the 70% roadmap and have reputational damage that you've allowed someone that wasn't in. Now, the reality is, to your question, how much and what penalties we would put in place, we haven't decided what that looks like. Yeah. We want to work with businesses. We don't want to punish businesses. They've had enough punishment in lockdowns. And so the reality here is that we trust the majority of businesses. But if there are rogue businesses that are being deliberate, and I've noticed on social media there are businesses that are advertising, saying we will serve unvaccinated people, we will open. I mean, that's just being deliberate, and that's not in step with what the majority of Australians are saying. They want to be vaccinated. That's why yesterday we achieved the 80% milestone in New South Wales. 80% of people, treat that as a poll, have said, we're getting vaccinated. We want to be in an environment of vaccinated people, and we're working towards that.
When it comes to health, has New South Wales Health reached out to ACT Health for any kind of help when it comes to beds or anything of that nature?
Look, there's no question that would occur. And, that's my electorate down there in the Monero. I bought the ACT. The ACT hospital system is the tertiary hospital system for the southern part of our state. There's an MOU in place that allows that to happen. It's been an agreement that's been there for decades. And something like 40% of the ACT waiting lists often are New South Wales citizens. So there is arrangements already in place. And, of course, if we go under pressure, especially in the southeast of this state, we would be talking to the ACT, and we have been speaking to the ACT about arrangements. But at this stage, on our plans, in an integrated network of hospitals and health system in New South Wales, we have got surge capacity right across our network. But the ACT around the southeast of New South Wales is very unique, but it's an arrangement that's been in place for decades.
Hey, just finally, before we go, John, just your reaction to this announcement that's come through this morning on nuclear submarines coming into Australia. It opens the door potentially to a nuclear industry. We've had these conversations before in the past. Do you believe it does open the door to a nuclear industry? And is it a missed opportunity if it doesn't?
Yeah, Peter, look, firstly, what an exciting arrangement. And this new Defence Pact really does bring three nations together and be able to share technology that we probably don't have it in front of us today. But absolutely, when it comes to our submarine fleet, they're talking nuclear submarines, that should open the door and the opportunity for Australia to look at an opportunity for a nuclear industry. I've said this before, the opportunity, the reality, the small modular reactors, and Australia has an abundant supply of uranium. So this may open the door. I hope we don't miss the opportunity, a debate that we started years ago, debate that the public has actually got involved in. And I've got to say, often it's brought up out of conversation, and I believe the vast majority of Australians have now understood why nuclear energy is an answer, a piece of technology that can fix climate change, decarbonise the environment and decarbonise the economy, and in one way rebuild a new industry for Australia. And I'm excited if this opens that door.
Okay.